What's up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of According to Blake. As I'm sure you can see, I am by myself because y'all keep telling me that I have to do more solos, and the reception to the last solo episode has been so fantastic. So I have resolved, let's see how long this lasts. I have resolved that I am going to now make According to Blake mostly solos. Of course, still interviews. You guys know that I know so many incredible people. I love talking to people. I am a people person. But in talking to my producer, shout out to him, Bjay, we were like, the show is truly According to Blake. And, I love sharing my perspectives with you all. And it seems that that is what you all respond to best. So we will be doing a lot more solos. I want y'all to know that that requires more work for me. So that means I really love y'all and I really care about y'all's opinions. But please comment. Let me know if this is what you all want or just we're still kind of figuring out the groove. So let me know what you guys want. And if more solos is what you guys want, then more solos for now is what you all are going to get. So I want to thank you guys for the reception. Speaking of last episode, there's been such reaction, which is always so interesting because so many people are like, oh my God, Blake, you're saying the things. And it's so interesting to me because for so often I'm like, I was telling my mom, she was like, you did so great. And I was like, I really just say the things that are on my mind. Like I truly am like, I don't think these things are that groundbreaking or that fantastic, but I love that you guys love my perspective and love my point of view. So I love you guys. So really excited. Now this though, we are going back to, I know that last time, like I said, I had never done my career journey and my career path, but we are back to the original solo format. So we are talking pop culture. We were talking the fact that I'm chronically online. We were talking about the conversations that me and my friends are having. So without further ado, let's dive in. You guys know that with these solos, I do generally start with the bad part first. The bad part is that Donald Trump is still president. I am so sorry. Unfortunately, that is still our reality. And I know that when season 1 ended, that was kind of around inauguration. And so I never really talked about on the pod kind of how I felt after inauguration. And it was really, really bad. I ended up having to delete X. I felt myself slipping into this hole. I was crying all the time. I was upset all the time. And finally, my mom was like, you have to stop. Like all I would do is scroll. I would just doom scroll. I still kind of do it on Threads. But I was in a really, really dark place about it for a really long time. As I'm sure that so many Black women were, especially being a part of the 92%. So it was really rough. But I feel like, no, I'm not feeling better about it. But I think we're all kind of seeing billionaires self-implode and everything inside is just beginning to self-implode. But it is still rough waking up to the headlines about Agent Orange. Speaking of Agent Orange and Saquon Barkley, let me tell you something. Saquon Barkley. It is so remarkable to me. And this is not to dogpile because I know that everybody's been telling me, we'll get to this later, but so many of my friends, I'm trying not to, I don't want to make this a cesspool or like a breeding ground for hate for men because that is not where I'm at. That's not actually my heart posture. However, when I see things like what happened this week with Saquon Barkley, do understand that it is really hard for me to not fall back into that pattern. I am so disgusted. I am so utterly, and I'm sick of being gaslit. The same happened with Nelly when he decided to perform at the inauguration. The same is happening now. Stop trying to gaslight us and telling us, oh, it's not political. It's not political. I have respect for the office. Respect for an office that Agent Orange himself doesn't have respect for. That's really crazy to me. Meanwhile, on the other side, a Black king named Jalen Hurts was absolutely not in attendance. And I was also so edgy. So I'm not a big football girl, but everybody will tell you, like, once there's something that I can kind of attach to in your personal life that I feel like I relate to, then I'm like, okay, like I love this person. I love this person. Speaking of Devontae Smith, who also plays for the Eagles. And I think that his family is absolutely beautiful. I think that his fiance is so fun and so cute. And she seems so great. They've been together since high school. So I was also like, Devontae Smith absolutely cannot go to the White House. Yes. Much to my pleasure, Devontae Smith, too, was not at the White House. So while we're being gaslit by, Saquon, and it's also interesting, his family was posting and they were like, y'all don't understand. We're sticking together. This is silly. It was just, I'm sick of being gaslit when we know what we are actually living in. And I'm sick of it being, well, I'm not a political person. To not be political in this climate is absolutely unacceptable. I don't care what race you are, but particularly to not be political as a Black man in this climate is absolutely abhorrent. It is absolutely disgusting. Like I said, I wasn't a big football girl, but I am going to say this. I wish nothing but, see, I don't know his position. And this is where it would get tricky because I'm about to start trying to throw out football terms. And I'm really about to show how little I know football. But I really hope that he makes not a touchdown ever again. I think that makes sense for his position. I hope that a defensive lineman blows through that man's knees. And I do not wish any football prosperity for that man. He's a running back. Thank you. The producer just... He's a running back. I hope that he can never run another yard in his life. I pray that his ankles fold at the sight of turf. That is what I pray for you, Saquon Barkley. Now, Jalen Hurts, for you and your Black queen, and for Devontae Smith, you and your Black queen, and for the many others, not all Black, there were non-Black members of the team that also didn't go. God bless all of y'all. Moving on. Now we can move on to more fun things. Okay, so you guys, you guys might see it's a little Western. So yesterday, this comes out on Monday, but yesterday, which was will be the previous Monday, was the first Cowboy Carter show. It was in Los Angeles. I'm so excited. Now, it's kind of the same thing that happened to me with Renaissance, because the first show, I didn't go till months later when she came to New York. And in this case, I'm not going until July because I'm going to the Atlanta show. So it will be months until I am able to go see the show. But I kind of love it. I know that the girls kind of hated the fact that people post. I actually love it. I like knowing what kind of to anticipate, and I like seeing all of the ways that it evolved. For example, I was just talking to my best friend about this. Like when I watched the first Renaissance show, which was Paris, and I watched it on my phone with everybody. It was during the day. I was on a brand trip, on a hike, and I was like, sorry guys, like I have to watch Beyonce. So I did just that, and I watched the show, and being able to see just how it progressed by the time it got to New York, like it's like anything else. She got the kinks out. She figured out what works best. She figured out what songs work best. Like it was perfect. So I love the fact that I get a little later in the tour because I get to see it evolve. Now, speaking of evolution, our niece Blue has evolved so beautifully. As we already knew, she comes from greatness. However, watching her and so many video editors put the side-by-side of her, the first episode of the Renaissance tour that she came out versus last night's show, she is an absolute star. We got to see Rumi. I'm very excited. Like I said, I kind of have the cowboy vibes. You guys see the fringe and things like that. I'm fully in the spirit and I'm fully excited. Moving on, because we have to talk about this, because you cannot not talk about this. And I hope that at this point, everybody has seen it already. Sinners. Now, I haven't seen it twice. I need to see it twice. I also didn't see it on the 70mm because where I live in the burbs now, as you guys know. And so it's like really cute. They have this really, really cute boutique-y movie theater. But of course, it's not the best quality. So I didn't get to see it at the 70mm. So I have to see it a second time. I think you need to see it a second time anyway to pick up on the things that you might have missed, especially for a movie as layered and as profound as Sinners. But I do want to talk about, so again, if you haven't seen it, perhaps you might want to fast forward through this. I feel like I'll probably be on this topic for maybe like 2-3 minutes, but I really want a prequel, not a sequel. I feel like the movie pretty much is complete. I feel like it rounded out. I don't feel like it needed a sequel. What it does need is a prequel because I have a lot of questions. Let's start early on. I want to know why or how or if they got ran out of Chicago. Because I feel like they talk about it all the time, like everybody that speaks to them mentions, oh, well, how was Chicago? How was Chicago? What did you guys do in Chicago? And we never got to know anything that happened with Chicago. Now, I do understand that there are undertones and themes alluding to and pointing back to Al Capone. And so I want to know, like, were you guys running with Al Capone? What was the dynamic there, especially Chicago during those times? I really need to know that. I really need to know this, which I haven't seen people talk about. Did we not notice that the Asian couple, their daughter knew something was wrong? She knew that it was wrong. She knew that it was wrong when, was it Smoke or Stack that came in? When Smoke stepped into the store. She knew something was wrong when they drove off, and she watched them pull off from the window. She knew, and I really would love to know more about what she knew. I'm like, is she a vampire? I doubt she too is a vampire, but I really want to know what she knew. And I just feel like the movie is so intentional that I can't imagine that there wasn't more to her story if there wasn't actually more to her story. I really want to know. I know, again, the initial vampire, the Irish vampire, I know that he is indicative of God's fallen angel, but I want to know kind of where he came from when he became a vampire, his origin story. I really would love to see the Native Americans more. Again, I know that we talk about it. There was a video on TikTok that basically was like, the Native Americans were indicative that once they saw that Klan hat, they were like, actually, this is no longer our fight. We've been fighting for centuries, and we know that we can't do nothing with this type of crazy. But I would love to not even see, the vampires and the Native Americans unite, because again, it's not their responsibility. But I would love to see just more about them, where they found the vampire, how they were searching for him, how everything came to be there. I would love to see more about how Rose's mother, the story of her mother, I'd be interested to see kind of more of that dynamic and where she came from. Nonetheless, all to say, I want to see a lot more of what happened before. And I feel like, again, Ryan Coogler is so intentional. I cannot imagine that he didn't set it up for the prequel. And so I'm really excited to see how it evolves. I'm excited to see it for a second time. I will circle back because next week will be yet another solo. And I'm filming that after Met. We'll get to the fact that I have to go to Met Gala and then film for y'all the next day. But I really, really am looking forward to watching it a second time and really seeing what this prequel does. Also, just shout out to Ryan Coogler and just how thoughtful he is, and just the wonderful cinema of the movie, and his wife, Zinzi, who is a part, like, everybody's like, her name is not Ryan Coogler's wife. Absolutely. Her name is Zinzi Coogler. She's absolutely fantastic. And you can see her influence. Everything is just so beautiful and so well thought out and so detailed. I could talk about the dancing scene for days and days and days, and just how beautiful it was. I would have loved to see, do they have BTS of that? I would have loved to see it. Anyway, if you haven't seen Sinners, you absolutely have to see Sinners. There's no excuse at this point, really, for anybody. It is so beautiful. It's so fantastic. Oh, and what is so crazy is that, why am I blanking on his name? Sammy? Sammy was his name. That was Sammy's first time acting. And it's also so fantastic that he was a background singer for her. And her, not even knowing his acting capabilities, was like, this is a film that you should audition for. And he did, and he got it, and he acted his ass off. Everybody acted their ass off. Everybody acted as if the rent was due. Fine ass Delroy Lindo. Let me tell you something. Whatever man that I'm going to marry, y'all know we talk about that a lot. Wherever he is in the world, he's going to age like Delroy Lindo's fine ass. I just know he is. Like, Delroy Lindo acted so well. Like, everybody was fantastic. Every role was important. There was nothing that I felt, no scene, no character, no anything in the movie that I felt was not needed or we could have done without. It just left me with more questions, which I know was his intention. Like, it was never like, oh, well, the Native Americans were only there for 15 seconds. I don't really understand what their use for the film was. Everybody was so intentional, because now all I want to know is their story and where they came from and how they play into the storyline and how it evolved. So I absolutely love it. I started Severance and Hacks because you all told me to, and all I have to say is that I'm pissed that you all didn't tell me to start Severance and Hacks sooner. What I will say is, everybody that I talked to about Severance who hasn't seen it, is like, it was just really, really slow for me in the beginning, and I have to completely agree. When I started Severance, I was like, there's no way that this is the show that everybody is obsessed with, that everybody keeps talking about. I'm bored. I'm not into it. This is not. It's also very sterile. Like, if you guys have seen Severance, it's very white. It's a lot of white hallways. It's just not cinematically anything that captures your attention. And then in the beginning, I don't feel that the plot line necessarily captures your attention. So it's kind of like this push and pull, this give and take. What I will say, though, is Severance is that girl. Severance is that girl. If you guys like Black Mirror, even if you don't like Black Mirror, you must watch Severance, because all of these shows, I feel like, are truly indicative of the way that society is going, which is very scary. And I think that the only way to prevent it and to make people fear it is to talk about it and to continue to create shows like Black Mirror, which I haven't seen this season. I know. We'll talk about it now. I'll watch it so I can talk about it next episode. It is important for shows like Handmaid's Tale to exist. It's important for shows like Severance to exist. It's important for shows like Black Mirror to exist because it is 100% the direction that this country and society is going in. And so I think it's just like history. If you don't know your history, then you're destined to repeat it. I think, too, as technology advances, I think on the other side of that, it is very important to know what is possible, or else it is very possible to fall into it. And if we have learned nothing from these past 100 days with Agent Orange, I hope that we learn that, like, I would not like to fuck around and find out anything else. Like, we kind of, sorta, I say that loosely, know what works. We damn sure at this point are seeing what doesn't. Anyway, you should watch. Hacks is just so delightful. I feel like my mother when I say delightful, but it truly is so delightful. It's so light. I love women comedians. I love that the Black character is the CEO. I love it. It's light. It's fun. Watch Hacks. I think it's like on season 6 now. I'm on season 2. So we're moving, we're building up, but I absolutely love it. It kind of reminds me of like Grace and Frankie in terms of the lightness of it. Like if you liked Grace and Frankie, and just shows that you don't have to think too much about, especially now. We need things that we can just be happy and excited about. That's how I feel about Hacks. Of course, you guys know, because I watch everything Real Housewives. I have, in fact, been watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I'm not going to recap the entire season because, again, we're on episode 6, right? We're on episode 6. By the time this comes out on Monday, episode 7 would have aired. So don't be like, Blake, you're behind. I'm filming this. Episode 6 came on Sunday. I will say this. Real Housewives of Atlanta was falling off, and it was falling off very, very hard. And it is clear that casting had a lot of pressure on them to pull it together and get it the fuck together. And what I will say is I do think that this season, they cast it very well. We were all very nervous. I think all Real Housewives of Atlanta fans were really nervous when back months ago, all of the things came out that Kenya had been kicked off the cast and that they had to go and get Phaedra. And, you know, they had to reignite the Portia and Phaedra friendship for on screen. Everybody was nervous because I think we were all like, so we don't know what's happening, but we feel like it's falling apart. And what I can say is that this season thus far is truly not disappointing me. And I like the new casting. I do want to say this. For anybody wondering, no, I don't like Britt. I too am with the rest of y'all. I do not care for Britt. However, I will get to the Kenya and Britt thing. I really like Kelly. I feel like first episode, I was like, oh my gosh, she's doing a little of a lot. But I really like Kelly. I think that she's a good addition. I think that she's lighthearted. I think that she's fun. And I think that she's really needed on the cast. Now, you talk to Scott and Gerardo, and they're going to tell you that Angela Oakley is the best casting in Real Housewives in a very, very long time. And I have to say that I do agree. Here's the thing about Angela is she truly gives old Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like she gives that she should have been with Sheree. Hell, even Deshawn. She was only one season, but I would have loved to see her with Elisa. Like she really gives that old Real Housewives of Atlanta regime. And it's funny because I saw a TikTok video that said, this is allegedly, I cannot verify. I didn't have time. I literally saw it on the way here, but that Angela turned down seasons 3 through 9 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, which is so interesting to me because seeing her now, I'm like, she really would have meshed well with that Real Housewives. When Cynthia was coming in, when Phaedra had come in, I really think that she would have meshed well because she has a smart mouth. And I think that her and Sheree really would have gone toe to toe. Speaking of the video that I watched, they had basically described that what they loved about Angela is that she is the new regime of all Real Housewives. This is not specific to Atlanta. Of all Real Housewives and really just all reality TV is that everybody is looking for a buzz moment. Everybody's looking for an explosion so that they can stay on the show and so that they can do other things. I think the perfect example of that is Mia Thornton, who has been hanging around Atlanta. And I'm like, let me tell you something. Don't put her on that franchise. I promise y'all, if they derail all this good work that they have done for Atlanta, I'm going to be pissed. Anyway, I say all that to say, Angela, they described her as she's messy and she's a bone collector, but she's not looking for a buzzy moment. She's willing to be messy. She's willing to say things that will piss people off, and she's willing to carry the bone, but she's not out here looking for outrage and for a moment. And that is very, very important in Housewives. And I think it's why Angela reads very natural. Like, it reads natural that she's on camera. I think that I'm very interested to see her and Britt next episode. It would have come out then. That is when she and Britt get into an altercation. It seems like there was a medium that was around and they get into a really, really intense altercation. And Angela is reading her down. And I was like, yeah, okay. All right. It's giving old Real Housewives. And I love it. Now, my favorite addition is Shamea. I think Shamea is an absolute star. I think that she exudes light. I think, because I don't know these people, it seems that her husband is a really great husband. She and him seem like fantastic parents. I don't know why it took her this long to get a peach. And it's interesting too. It's always too great to have good personal experiences with these people. So for 2 years straight, I hosted at Mary J. Blige's Strength of a Woman conference. The first year I hosted like 6, 7 panels. And the second year I hosted 1 panel. And that second year, Shamea was there as the stage host. And she was the coolest person ever. Like, when I tell y'all, like, truly, like, normal wasn't any of that. And so much so that my mom, who you guys know is not a Real Housewives girl at all, literally just kept saying throughout the weekend, and that girl yesterday was just so sweet. She was just so sweet. We got to the concert later and she was there. She was like, look, she's right there. She's so sweet. Shamea actually, from my experience, it seems that she is who she portrays to be. And I think she's fantastic. It does make me sad to kind of see that perhaps she and Portia's friendship is going to kind of unravel. You know, there are rumors that I want to say, I don't want to be wrong. I want to say it was Lena Hugs' baby shower recently that they didn't speak and they're not friends anymore. And that really makes me sad. But I also think that I could see perhaps Portia not loving the fact that Shamea truly, they're building the show on Shamea. Shamea is like the rock of the group and everything kind of extends from her. And I think that was really, really, I was nervous about it because I did not know what Shamea was going to give, but I absolutely adore her. I think she's very talented. She just released the best Real House song to come out of Real Housewives in a very long time. If you have not listened to Never Had, I very much suggest it. But she is fantastic. Now, on to the Kenya and Britt situation. And I think it's important to preface this by saying, and I've talked about it here on the podcast, I've told you I am a Kendrick Lamar level hater. Like, when somebody wrongs me, I am on their neck and on their ass until the end of time. I truly am. However, it's important to have boundaries. And I say all that to say, as somebody who too understands the levity of what Britt said, I do not like Britt. I do not like Britt. Britt came in for a moment. When I just said that there is this regime of Real Housewives girls who come in wanting a moment, Britt came in wanting a moment. Britt came in wanting a moment with Kenya specifically. That everything that was said there is true. The pistol comment was outlandish. It was absolutely ridiculous. I just don't know what Portia was after, though. I mean, what Kenya was after releasing those photos. For the life of me, I can't figure out what her intention was by doing that. And I mean, you know, people have tried to kind of deduce and come up with their own ideas. And one of those ideas is that a lot of people feel as though what Kenya wanted was for Britt to actually be in the space when it happened and for Britt to get violent, and then they would have had to kick her off the show because she got violent. It also wouldn't be the first time that she antagonized somebody to violence. Look at Portia and the scepter, and then they was rolling on the ground. It would not have been the first time. I think, number one, that was what she was after. And I think that she thought that, it sounds like she thought the production was going to protect her. And I've talked about this before. As someone who has had a front row seat to reality TV, I am no dummy, and I do understand. I think this is very important too for viewers who aren't familiar to understand. It probably is 100% true that production had no intention of protecting Kenya when she came to them and was like, this girl said she has a pistol. However, Kenya in the past has also referenced guns when speaking about someone that she was at odds with on the show. We have to have limits, and releasing compromising photos of Britt, particularly in those positions, was disgusting. I don't know a way to defend it. And so when I see people continuing to defend it, it gets really strange because, again, even our faves, and Kenya Moore is not my fave, but I think she has brilliant TV. Our faves are not beyond reproach. We don't know these people. And even people that we do like are not beyond reproach. I am not beyond reproach. And I think that I'm really solid. I think that I have a really solid set of values and a really strong moral compass, all these things. But there are things that I might say or do. I am not beyond reproach and I'm not beyond critique. And I think to the diehard Kenya fans that think that she's beyond critique, I'm not telling y'all to hate Kenya. But what I am saying is I think that at some point we have to take for face value how heinous the retaliation was. And that's where I'm at with it. How do I foresee the rest of the season going? I think Brit is going to continue to click out. I think that we're going to continue to not like Brit. I'm over Brit. I'm over it. I think she now is kind of like, Kenya's not there. So like we have to let it go. Like not let it go because that is a traumatizing experience that I could not even imagine. But what I'm saying is I think Brit, let's see more of your story, your other storylines. You can't keep arguing with Angela every single episode about why she won't defend you with Kenya. She's choosing not to it cannot be the only thing that we talk about all season because at the end of the day, while that 100% is your lived experience and you 100% should have been traumatized, I could only imagine how I would react. This is a show in which kind of the buck keeps rolling. And I feel like we're not going to get any other storyline out of her. And I'm like, well, I'd like to get another storyline out of her. Nonetheless, I'm really loving these additions. I'm really loving what production did. Please stick with it. Do not put me on that cast unless you want to lose the support of the diehard Real Housewives fans who are really happy with this. So if you guys hear this, please do not. But I'm really into it. I know there's probably things that I missed. Well, I mean, this, Portia, and you guys know I do love Portia. But the whole comment that she made towards Angela, and I guess we will learn more about it as next episode comes on, making the comment of sleeping with Charles Oakley. Angela was correct. Portia Williams says she gonna sleep with my husband, and history has shown me that I probably should believe it. So I also want Portia to stop feeding into, like, I'm like, Portia, you coming back. The girls, we were like, finally, like, our peach, we love her. And I'm like, I just see it unraveling in front of me. And I'm like, I hate this. I don't want the girls to unravel. But it seems like they're unraveling. Continue. I just want to make a quick comment here. The Millennium Tour is happening. And I've been seeing a lot of women that I love because those are the songs of our childhood there. I don't want to sound self-righteous, but I am shocked and appalled at how many of y'all are posting Trey Songz happily. Again, I don't want to sound self-righteous, but I do think it gets to a point. And I do think that as people and as women, we do have to stand for something. It is so jarring to tap on to literally go through stories, people I follow, and y'all are posting Trey Songz. And I just encourage you all, if you don't know much and you're like, oh, wait, I didn't know. I just encourage you all to research. Do just a smidge of research and all of the incriminating evidence against Trey Songz. This podcast will and never has been a safe place for abusers, men or women, for those that don't have respect for women's bodies and women's autonomy. This was never that safe space for that. And it has been truly shocking to watch so many women that I follow post Trey Songz. I'm not saying don't go to the tour because, again, it's the songs of our childhood of so many, and it's so many other people on the bill. But to post Trey Songz openly is truly, I feel like it's like cognitive. Like I kept feeling like I was in the Twilight Zone because I was like, there's no way that I followed this many people. And so I'm praying that maybe you guys just don't know. But now that I'm telling you all, I pray that maybe you guys go and do some research because the things that he is accused of are absolutely heinous and I don't want to hear. I do not want to fucking hear. Oh, well, he hasn't been charged with anything. Okay, well, neither was R. Kelly for decades. Neither was Diddy for decades. I'm not here to hear it. Use your better judgment. He allegedly, I ain't trying to get sued. He allegedly is a violent predator. So please, I implore y'all, lay off of Trey Songz. And I don't mean that in the positive way. Okay, I'm going to quickly glaze over this and then we're going to move on to Chronically Online because I actually am rambling more than I thought I would. Usually with these solos, I'm like, how am I going to get through 45 minutes? And then I zoom through 45 minutes. Shannon Sharpe. Y'all old men are such freaky frogs. And I think it's very layered here because it's number one, there are allegations of abuse. But then on the flip side of that, why were you at your big age knowingly dealing with a 19-year-old and paying a 19-year-old for her services? There's also things to be said about the race play that came into play. And I am going to tag this creator. I'm going to make sure my editor puts it in here. But there's a creator that I love and adore, and we are just recent mutuals on TikTok. Her name is Dominique. She is a trans woman, and she has, I don't want to lie, I think she's in her mid-40s. I think that's what she said. It was recently her birthday, and she told this incredible story. She is a woman who has served time in a all-men's prison in solitary confinement. She has just such incredible insight about the society and about society and the world that we live in, and I love her takes. Anyway, she made this fantastic video referencing the slave play and the race play. Not slave play, but I wouldn't put it past Shannon Sharpe's old freaky frog ass. But the race play that came into play with Shannon Sharpe and this woman.
And since we here talking, Shannon Sharpe and these text messages and the allegations against him, I just want to go on record and say that Black men are the real bedwenches of the Black community. And over and over and over and over and over and over again, it's proven. I exist in a lot of areas of social media. When it comes to race play behavior, Black men, whether they engage with other men, whether they engage with the opposite sex, no matter what they're doing, it is prevalent in king spaces. Black men, as much as they make it seem as if they're engaging with non-Black women in order for some retribution for slavery, no, they are doing slavery reenactments, okay?
If anybody is unfamiliar, if let's say that perhaps this didn't come across your desk, the same woman that he was dealing with, she released text messages, or he released them to try to make it seem like it was consensual, but it really just made him look crazy. The girl was saying that she wanted his, if I forget it now, it was heinous. She said something like she wants his black baby juice. It was something outrageous. And then she said that she wanted him to give her a big black baby. And Dominique made this video that was so profoundly, the way that she says things. I know some of you guys will argue because you're like, Blake, you talk for a living. But I really can admire some creators that I know that so perfectly articulate the things that go on in my head that I can't form and bring together to really make it work. Anyway, she made this post and she basically said that the bedwenches that Black men say that Black women who are with white men they are those bedwenches. And that could not have been more accurate. Of course, she elaborates. That's not just what she said. She goes on to elaborate. Like I said, this is a woman who is so thoughtful with her words. And it's just, I love her takes. But she went on to describe that, and that is true. And, there were other takes that I saw that was like, Shannon Sharpe is proof of what happens when older men don't settle down and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Black women, this is not our fight. It's not our fight. But I can still talk about it. But it is interesting to kind of watch, because it will be the same thing that we've seen before in Hollywood, not to name any names, but it will be the same thing. Shannon Sharpe at some point will hop out with a woman probably in her late 40s who is Black, who will help clean up the PR narrative. He'll be able to say, it was for example, like on one episode, the episode he did with Monique was like, I knew that wasn't true, that Shannon only liked white women, because he has all black children. Shannon Sharpe's children are phenotypically Black, 100% Black. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Shannon Sharpe I think and he hasn't even had to say it. Black women know, and I think that it's underestimated the way that we can tell. And I think people, they're like, well, how can you tell? A black woman can tell a black man that don't like us. It is a look, it is an aura, it is a vibe. I don't even have to have a conversation with a man. Now, that doesn't apply to all, but I am here to let you know that if me and Shannon Sharpe were across the way in a room together, I would immediately be like, that man don't want me. I'd immediately be like, that man don't want me. That man don't want black women. And so I said, there's so many layers to all of this. But again, I say, Shannon Sharpe, please. Everything that we know about your personal life has been against our will. You got on Instagram Live, moaning to Michelle. I now know this situation. Again, it's Tony Busby. He is, in fact, a known, allegedly, not trying to play them games with the attorney, allegedly a known grifter. So I'm not saying that necessarily that I don't think that many people have been taking the approach of that these allegations from the woman are true as much as we've just been like, regardless, Shannon Sharpe needs to change his behavior. It appears that he is perhaps been apprehended by, I want to say ESPN again, y'all get me talking about sports and it's going to get crazy. Apprehended by ESPN. And I hope that men continue to be apprehended for bad behavior because it's weird and it's gross and leave 19-year-olds alone. Like, what is the problem? We know why you guys aren't dating women your age, right? We know you guys are not trying to answer to those things. We know why, but it doesn't make it any less disgusting. Moving on to Chronically Online. Y'all, TikTok is a wild, wild place. So I have a group chat with two of my friends and the group chat is called Is Everyone Okay? And every single day, I am proven that everyone is not okay. Everyone is not okay. In fact, the vast majority are not okay. Let me talk about this. There is a creator called Big May. So I'm going to say something that might shock some of y'all, or it might not, because I think that it's a genre that maybe you guys wouldn't expect for me to really like. So I do kind of like, it sounds crazy saying it aloud. I do kind of like the mukbang content. I don't mind watching people eat. It doesn't bother me. Like, some people cannot watch people eat. But like sometimes like I would go to like Jjay Nice's page or like some people to kind of like get inspired about what to eat. Like, I'm a girl that loves food. I talk about it all the time. So I don't mind watching people eat. However, in the words of that creator, crap, what is her name? I'm going to have my editor put it here. Does anybody care about their health? Y'all, it's a limit and I love good food. But this creator named Big May, if you guys haven't seen her, they call her the sour cream girl. She puts sour cream on everything. Y'all, it is sour cream on everything. And I don't mind a little sour cream. But she puts sour cream on everything. Most recently, which set the internet ablaze, she made a sour cream cocktail. She lined the martini glass with sour cream. She poured in Carlo Rossi. She then put a little bit of juice and like grenadine and chugged it down in front of my face. Mind you, this is the same creator who made a pork chop breakfast burger. The buns, rather than being bread, were fried pork chops. And to that I say, as a girl who enjoys fried pork chops, people still can't believe that I do eat pork. Me and swine will always be fine for now. As a girl who eats pork, y'all, we have to stop. Like, we're losing the plot when it comes to food. And two, let's not act like it isn't dangerous. When there was a creator in Asia, I do not know exactly what country it was, an Asian creator who died from it. Like, the desire for clickbait, and I talk about this all the time. The lengths that people are willing to go for views and the gratification of views and the gratification of likes. And I want to be honest, because I think that people do like to pretend like it doesn't matter. And creators are like, well, I don't really care about the likes. And that's a lie. We all care about our likes. We all care about our views. It is what pays our bills. Like, I work in an industry and I have a job where oftentimes, except now we're pivoting. You guys know the goal was always to talk, but sometimes this is me saying, but I work in an industry where a lot of times my income is based and predicated on how much y'all care about what I'm doing. And so I think that it is crazy to say that we don't care about likes and we don't care about views. We absolutely do. However, there has to be limits of the lengths that we will put our bodies through, the lengths of the things that we will speak about and won't speak about. There has to be limits and boundaries on what one is willing to do for views and for clout and for likes and for checks from TikTok. Y'all know I tell people all the time, I make no money in the TikTok app. All of mine is from actual partnerships. I make no money in the app. Not literally, but like maybe a few $100s. Like, so I'm not one of those creators who has seen or cracked 5 figures a month as many creators do. But we have to have boundaries, and what good is being this creator who is making this money and gets these views if you are not here with us to experience it all. So I don't want to tell you. I mean, I talk about these things. You guys are going to go do it anyway, but the creator's name is Big May, and I just want her to stop putting sour cream on anything. Speaking of people doing anything for clout on social media, there's a creator who claimed that she had overexfoliated her skin and had decided that she was not going to wash her face for months. And you see this buildup on her skin. And so people were diagnosing it. Some dermatologists were like, this looks like so-and-so, this looks like so-and-so. People were like there's a name particularly for one of the conditions. And they said that you see it prevalently in those that are unhoused, and those that can't frequently wash their face. It came out, and it hasn't been fully verified yet. We're not sure if it's true, but allegedly, the girl, in fact, is not actually doing that to her skin. She's packing on Aztec clay and powder foundation, again, for clickbait and for views. And again, I ask, like, genuinely, at what point does this end? Like, at what point do we stop being crazy? Like, is everyone okay? Like I said, I have a group chat. Is everyone okay? Every single day I ask myself, is everyone okay? People who are okay. A creator I absolutely love and adore. His name is Brand Flakes. He got on and said that he lost a brand deal, a 5-figure brand deal, because he spoke out against Trump. And I have so many things to say, but one thing I will say, and I think any brand that comes to me knows this, but in case there is a brand here that does not know, he posted this on TikTok, by the way. So if you guys go to his page, it's Brand Flakes. I will never, ever get off Trump's ass for as long as I am standing on God's green earth. So if y'all want somebody who is brand safe in that regard, even though it's not brand safe, Trump is the opposite of brand safe, please don't come over here. Speaking of kind of the social media piece and continuing to be chronically online, I believe her name is Fisa. We're mutuals on TikTok. She's a beautiful girl. She's actually engaged to a guy I went to college with. And I just love thoughtful creators. And I've talked about this before, about the self-improvement trend of creators and how I personally feel that it's predatory. Not fully, not in totality. I think that it's very important for us to always want to be better and do better and be better human beings. However, I have said this before and I'll say it again. She made a video that basically said that self-improvement, not only is it dangerous, but it makes particularly women, particularly Black women, always feel like we have something to work on. And I've said that before, especially when I started heavy therapy. It was after a really, really bad breakup. And I was so heavily committed to my betterment that for a period of time, it became a personality trait. And I think that it's so, so important, especially in this era of, do this and glow up here and fix your life here and fix your life here, that we don't forget to sit in liking ourselves and appreciating ourselves and appreciating where we're at. Therapy and improvement and glowing up is not a destination, it's a journey. It never stops. And so it is very important to not fall into the trap that we are seeing all over social media, where they're saying that you need to spend this, you need to do that, you need to hire this person, you need to do all of these things. Be an active participant in your betterment, absolutely. But please don't fall for the trap. Speaking of that, being an active participant in your self-betterment, this was a little old, but the matchmaking and dating, the matchmaking conversation that happened where the woman spent $10,000 on a dating coach, still had to end up on Hinge and do all of these things. I want to say this is someone who is a self-proclaimed bad dater. And what does that mean? I am not an active dater. I'm not an active participant in dating. I say all the time that I want a husband, I want this, I want that, but I don't like dating. I don't really enjoy it. I don't like going outside. I like being in my house now. I don't love the act of dating, right? And so because dating is in fact a muscle, and when it is not exercised, you lose it. You get like, it is true, right? Talking to men, flirting with men, it's all a thing around. It is all a thing. However, the woman talked about the date. She paid $10,000 for a dating coach. And I was talking to my friend yesterday who has a matchmaking service, and she made the argument that as women, we pour into our looks. We spend tens of thousands of dollars on our looks. We spend tens of thousands of dollars on our wardrobe. All of these things are 100% true. And I think that it is really important to be an active participant in your life and in your dating, because it's just really important. It's necessary. However, I will say this, and this is my take personally on dating coaches. This is just my personal take. And I've had a dating coach on here, etc. A lot of the things that I'm seeing coming from these dating coaches are things that I find that if you got a good therapist and were honest, you could sort through there. And it wouldn't cost you $10,000. Additionally, there is so much dating coach content out there that I think that if you pair the good dating coach content, there are really good dating coaches out here. Pair the good free dating coach content with therapy, you would get the same, if not a better result. That is my personal opinion. If you do your personal work, because again, I've always said the reward for self-work is not a man, but I think that it's important. The role that dating coaches play is they come in and they tell you like how you can be more active, things that you should expect on dates, things you should ask. Maybe you come on a little too heavy here. But I feel like at this point, because of social media, there is so much free information out there. I don't think that you have to spend 10 G's on it. That's just my personal opinion. Combos with friends that I've been having. I was going to address the Dear Future Wifey podcast thing where the woman sat up and said that she was ironing her man's drawers to go cheat on her. But I don't think that it needs any more air. If you guys do want somebody with a really great perspective, I encourage you to go hit up the page of my mutual Dr. Raquel Martin. She actually got on live with both them and Lavelle, the host of the show. And I think that his show is don't get me started on that. Maybe we'll talk about it another time. If you want a good perspective on that, Dr. Raquel Martin hits it all on the head. Everything that I think she thinks. Combos with friends, as we kind of wrap up. I've been having, I feel like there's so many. I'm seeing a trend, and I know that this is happening as we talk about society is kind of regressing and we see it. But I think that there is a lot of, there's a war on science happening. And it sounds broad. Again, this is probably something that this would be the case where I need to have like a doctor or somebody on. Because maybe we'll save this for an interview because it is important to have somebody trained in the skill. There's a war on science. I am not here to say that we as Black people should not be hesitant of the medical system. We should. We were guinea pigs at one time. We still are not listened to. Not at one time. We're still guinea pigs. We're not listened to. However, there's a really bad war on science that I'm seeing impacting those that are my age. And it's really scary to see people my age refusing medicine and refusing to go get diagnosed for things and refusing to do proper testing and things for things. And it's scaring me because I feel like we already have fucking RFK at the helm of this all. The last thing that we need to do is make it worse for ourselves by not really leaning into medicine. And I think I'm just going to have a doctor on here. So we're going to plate that. Guys, I've been doing Legree, and when I tell you guys that my body is doing things and I'm finding muscles that I did not even know existed, I actually probably would get a Legree specialist in here. If you guys are wondering what is Legree, so it's very different than Pilates, and I don't want to misspeak because those who do Legree and those that do Pilates do not like when the two are conflated together. However, I have to say it's Megaformer, so it still is based on this machine. So think Pilates reformer, but think much more high intensity. The reformer is on two sides, so you're working it from both sides. My body, I shake during every single class. I am obsessed, but I've been trying to get fine because as I spoke about earlier, you guys, I am going back to Met Gala this year. For those of you guys that have been following me on TikTok for years, the first videos that really took off where I got hundreds of thousands of views was my Met Gala prep 3 years ago. That is also where I asked Lori Harvey the question, heard around the world what happened with those abs, and she answered and she let me know that it was Pilates. We are back this year. I'm going as a red carpet correspondent again with Ebony, but I'm doing it so much on a much grander scale than I did it last year, 3 years ago. This year, I'm being styled by my friend Alexander Julian Gibson. If you guys did not see his episode, go back. It is the episode before this. Go watch. I am being styled by him. We are doing a custom suit, full glam, all of the things. It's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited. I think it's so important for representation, as you guys know. And so for a night of blackness at the Met Gala is crazy. I didn't think that in my lifetime I'd hear something like that, but that's what's happening at the Met. So I'm really excited. It will be Monday when this drops, Monday morning. So if you guys are listening to this on Monday morning, stay tuned for all the content that is coming. My prep video would have already been pushed. I started prep yesterday. We're prepping throughout the week. And if you're watching it after Monday, then my photo is already up. Fit check is already up. And yeah, more to come. So I love you guys. Thanks for rocking with me again. Please give me ideas if you guys want me to start doing listener questions. Let me know what you guys are into. Let me know if you guys want more of the solos, and let me know what guests you guys want to see. Because as you guys know, I have some really cool ass friends, and I'm so blessed to have access to such a wonderful group of people. So, all right, love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.